Well, hey guys, welcome. And I'm excited to start the book of Proverbs, and we're gonna look at the first 7 verses today. And so the book of Proverbs is awesome. It was written by Solomon and a few other writers. It's thought that Solomon is the one that collected all of the writings and put them together in this book called Proverbs. Solomon was the son of David, and really, when Solomon took over as king, the kingdom, it was sort of at its zenith of power and glory and majesty. Solomon was given a guarantee to answer prayer, if you remember. And Solomon chose a prayer for wisdom. He asked for wisdom to lead the people, to help him, to lead him. He wanted God's wisdom. And so wisdom means enacting knowledge, right? It's kind of like this. Like you could take a class on budgeting and you could find out everything about budgeting. You know how to do a budget. You know that line items. You know the whole thing, right? But then you're broke because you're not personally budgeting. You know the knowledge, you know what to do, but you don't do it. And so wisdom is enacting knowledge. You know, Solomon, after this point, he was the wisest man in the land. He was the wisest man around. Solomon wrote songs. He wrote 3,000 proverbs. He wrote books on biology and zoology and many different fields. People came from all over the land to learn from Solomon. Proverbs is a collection of practical life wisdom given in short, memorable statements. Short, I love that because I'd rather just tell me a short sentence so I understand instead of this whole long thing that I'll just forget everything. Proverbs are unique in structure. They're concerned with practical life wisdom more than the ideas about God and his work of salvation. Proverbs teach wisdom through, again, short points and principles. And as a side note, Solomon, he was wise and God used him to give these scriptures to us, but Solomon did not follow his own writings. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines. He had one son who didn't turn out that well. And at the latter end of his life, he tried everything. Remember, he tried everything under the sun, he kept saying in Ecclesiastes. But nothing made him satisfied or fulfilled. Solomon's conclusion of happiness, here's his conclusion at the end of Ecclesiastes, at the later end of Solomon's life. Here's what it was. Here's his conclusion. Here's where we get fulfillment and satisfaction. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's it. Fear God and keep his commandments. So verses 1 through 6 really explain the purpose of the book of Proverbs. So let's read verses 1 through 6. Proverbs chapter 1 says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to bring prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles." Verse 1 through 6, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. Living in the information age doesn't mean people are using wisdom, right? People, they can know a lot, yet without enacting what they know, wisdom is absent, right? Wisdom is, again, I'm going to say this over and over again through the book of Proverbs, wisdom is the right use of what you know. If we are open to these proverbs, then justice, judgment, and equity will come out of our lives, right? And so verse 4, it talks about the simple. Before I was a believer, when I was a new believer, I thought, oh, the simple, yeah, we got to keep things simple, which we do have to keep it simple. We don't want to overcomplicate life. But I thought simple here just meant, you know what, simple is a good thing. But anytime you see someone described as a simple person in the Proverbs, it's not good. Okay, the simple one means the person is uneducated and needs instruction. Proverbs 14:15 testifies that the simple are gullible, but the prudent considers well his steps. So the simple will believe just about everything they read on social media. Anything they see, they kind of just believe. Oh no, without research, and that's a dangerous place to be. So we need to be open, though, to and believe what God says. And that's the difference. Yes, we believe everything God says in His Word, 100%. That's knowledge that leads to wisdom, believing what God says and enacting it, putting it into action. So Proverbs are for the simple and for the wise as well. You know, this is why we're reading this. We're in a time where people are unsure; they don't know what's going on. They need wisdom. What should I do? Well, go to what you already know. Go to the Word, because God knows. Verse 5, a wise man will increase in learning. And the point, everyone can grow by reading this book. To understand a proverb is an enigma. That's an awesome word. I just love that word, enigma. But it means the book of Proverbs can help us solve hard problems and the riddles of life. And so let me read verse 7, because this is really the preface of the whole book of Proverbs, all 31 chapters. Verse 7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Sorry, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. Proverbs, again, practical life wisdom more than theological ideas. That's what it's about. And we need practical wisdom. We need to know what to do. True knowledge is to fear God. Let's break that down. Fear doesn't mean you're trembling because you're scared you're going to die all the time, so you're paranoid. No. Fearing God means revering Him, standing in awe of Him, in honor of Him, in submission to Him. Wisdom can't advance further until it is established on a starting point. God is the starting point. He always has been, He always will be. Knowledge in verse 7, it's synonymous here with wisdom. And beginning, the word beginning, the first means the first and controlling principle. So wisdom begins with a reverence and obedience to God. Contrast is fools despise wisdom and would rather attempt to be wise without God. A prideful place to be, right? And so may we go through this book humbly and with an open heart, just being teachable. I love the Proverbs. You know why? Because they give you bits of wisdom that you can take throughout the day and use. Like when I don't have that much time, or when I get up late and have to go to work, I have 2 minutes to do my devotion time. I get in either the Psalms or the Proverbs. And if I get into the Proverbs, I get like 1 or 2 verses and just take those bits of wisdom and ruminate, let them percolate in my mind throughout the day. And it helps me so much. Proverbs, it's such an awesome book, and I can't wait to continue studying in it with you guys. Well, God bless you, and we'll talk to you next time.